Today, I'm bringing you the AI world from here from Mount Minobu. Behind me is the Nichiren Kannoji Temple from the Nichiren Buddhists who settled here in 1274. Sophia and I discuss the self-sovereign internet and distributed technology and history on the AI world from here. Stay tuned. We think you'll find it incredibly enlightening. Hi, Soph.
Hi, Dad. Where are you?
I am at the top of Mount Minobu, or Minobu, and it's at 1,532 meters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty tall.
That's pretty tall. Here, let me show you where we are. See the very peak of that is Mount Fuji.
That's beautiful. Are you just out in the woods by yourself right now?
Not totally by myself, because at the top of this mountain is a beautiful temple, and it was constructed in 1274, and I'm not going to try and say the name because I'll butcher it. And if I go around here, this is the temple at the top of the mountain.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I do.
And I'm breaking my 2-day vow of silence right now.
You took a vow of silence?
I took a vow of silence to...
Did you pass?
Oh, obviously not.
Obviously not. There's no way. It's funny that you would ever take a vow of silence.
Yes, so I took a vow of silence, and...
You broke it? Yeah?
Yeah. The vow was to taken at a temple called Kakarinbu, which is a 550-year-old temple here. And I came to understand, or try to understand, what the philosophy is here in Asia, and what occurred to me during these silent moments, which mostly I did, actually, and mostly because I don't speak Japanese. But but it was interesting because I thought, this temple that I'm at right now was built in 1274, and the monastery I'm in was built 550 years ago. And it's kind of interesting that people here, and these big, beautiful places that we can still participate in today, were built because of decentralization. And I don't think people actually understand that. I was going back a few podcasts when you were talking, and you said, oh, well, we've all given up. Privacy is over. There's nothing we can do.
I'm just pretty pessimistic. It's part of me.
You were. Yeah. But guess what? You're coming to Asia to study. Yeah. You're taking yourself out of the comfort zone. And I think that's really the big part of this transformation in technology and the world that we're in, is everybody's so comfortable. We've been so comfortable. And then we see this discomfort around us. And, if people back then didn't just one by one adopt these philosophies of this is Buddhist, and they didn't adopt these philosophies and seek to distribute them, none of this would exist.
Yeah, that's true.
And back then, there were warlords, and there were wars, and there was politics, and there were all of those dynasties and landlords and merchants. They're gone. They're gone. And this isn't.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was driving around the city the other day and I was just looking at all the buildings, and it's like the skeletons of the past that are left for us. And I guess we get to decide what we do with those, right? Like every single architectural piece is just like this weird sort of material left over from a bunch of other people that worked together to build that, you know? And I guess now you're experiencing it. So,
Well, weird, or is it humanity? And, as we
okay.
face art, artificial intelligence world now, where all of this stuff comes into play, I think we need to establish a philosophy that's going to allow humanity and the world to exist and prosper from here. I think that's really what's missing. And that doesn't come from giving big centralized authority over this new form of intelligence that we've created, or the other model kind of foundation I came upon was this idea of the self-sovereign internet. Everybody talks about data privacy and things like that, but when you get to make your own choices, that's sovereign, right? These choices that the Buddhists and people have made through history that have lasted continued to prosper because one by one people made their choice, and no choice is right or wrong, especially in Buddhism. So when we look at that, and then I came from obviously Hong Kong and the FinTech week there. Singapore FinTech Festival is next week, and this massive amount of information and everything that's thrown at us. I knew it was going to be like that, and that's why I came here to kind of think about, well, what does that all mean, and what do people really understand about what's going on right now in the world, and how can we better explain that? So, distributed. This is it. This is 1,000 years of what lasts, and we don't have to be so pessimistic about the world. We can take steps, right? I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. And a more positive attitude, I would say that. It's very funny that you're in this beautiful environment surrounded by all this history and these amazing architectural temples, and all you can think about is decentralization, blockchain. It's good. It makes sense. It's all connected ideas. It's just,
what was the world then? There was a fisherman who built 287 steps because he wanted his wife to see the temple, and the only way he could get his wife to see the temple is he climbed up the mountain. She was ill, and he climbed up the mountain and carried her to the temple. And he realized that it was so beautiful that people should be able to do this. So he went back down and ran his fishing business at the end of the day. He was an entrepreneur, right? He was a fisherman, and he saved his money and he invested and made 287 steps. And if you climb 287 steps that have been left now for hundreds of years, it is said that you will achieve enlightenment.
Did you achieve enlightenment?
Well, I'm working on it.
Okay.
But I think when we live and we have these things in our hearts and our minds about what we want to achieve, and I think it's really what you and your generation will achieve if you really put your minds to it, and you don't just buy this kind of branded commercialism and branded diatribe of the few companies that have already created what they have. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and it's fun and it's enjoyable, but that's entertainment, and it is something that you can choose to do and also choose to have some importance in your life, I think. So.
Yeah, it's all about establishing that too. It's such a daunting task to, fight against these industries. But
Well, it's not necessarily a fight. I think it's coexistence.
okay.
I think it's coexistence. It's
Now
coexistence.
that's enlightened. Now that is an enlightened statement.
Well, where we are As the temple says, it's coexisted with nature for 550 years.
That's what I want. I want coexistence with nature. That's the goal.
Well, coexistence with the world, coexistence with humanity. And if we had more coexistence, we wouldn't have to make these choices all the time of all or nothing. And I think really that's the idea of this hybrid place where technology needs to get to. And I think that it's the place where we need to get to as we embrace silicon intelligence, artificial intelligence. And let's see if we can see Mount Fuji here.
One last look.
One last look. Nope, the clouds are still there. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And the whole valley is just unbelievable. And it makes you appreciate the beauty of the world and the things that are out here. And, these are the things we want to preserve. But also, I was in Tokyo and I was in Hong Kong, and that was amazing. And what was really amazing to me, where we don't, I think, have to say it's all or nothing about the brands and the big corporations, is Tokyo, Hong Kong, Vancouver, and New York. You realize I've been in all four of those places in the last 6 months.
That's a lot of cities to go to.
And they've all got similar architecture. New York is quite a bit different. It's not, it was built before, kind of started the whole high-rise skyscraper thing. But Vancouver and Hong Kong and Tokyo all have very similar architecture.
They do. Yeah,
and they all have the same brands. So globalization is definitely here. Connectivity is definitely here. And if we can find our way, and you in particular, and the brands you support, think about that. You don't have to support brands if you've got trust, truth, and transparency. If you've got your own internet, if you invite those brands and those companies into your life, that's great. But what are their true philosophies? Like, I recall HSBC was fined by the UK government, and they had to take down all their greenwashing campaigns because they really weren't sustainable, and they were promoting. They were.
Yeah, I know. Like, all of those airlines also do the same thing. Basically, every single company with all of this carbon emission advertisement is just greenwashing their customers.
They are greenwashing, and there's also the giant philosophies of profit before people. And
that's just consequences of living under capitalism. But I mean, that's a very generic thing to say, but
that is generic. But how can we have sustainable capitalism instead of tracking capitalism? And maybe we can talk about that next time. There's a professor out of the UK who wrote a book, I believe it is called Tracking Capitalism. And it's this idea of capitalism tracking us and then finding out who we are and assuming who we are, which a lot of times statistics and analytics, and now with AI, it's correct because we're putting our information in, and then influencing us in the ways they want us to be influenced. And I think that's what the self-sovereign internet is about, is it's fine to look, but understand that you do have the opportunity to make your own decisions and create something lasting in your life. And every life has a purpose.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So that came from my 2 days as I was writing to try and figure out how to explain some of these concepts. It's not easy, and it's not going to be totally accepted right away, for sure. But it's a step in the right direction, and I am so excited for you. Congratulations on your acceptance into the Singapore program, which you'll start when? January?
Yeah, January, exactly.
Yeah.
I still fill out a bunch of paperwork and sort it out, so we'll see. But yeah, it's exciting.
Well, I am very excited for you. So congratulations on that and on putting yourself out there. And I hope other people put themselves out there too and just think a little bit more, just one day at a time, contemplate what can you do to get more independence of your own thoughts and your own origin of thoughts. And what can you do to create your own self-sovereign internet and identity of your data and your things that you want, and make sure that it's things you want, not that somebody else wants you to want.
Yes. That's nice.
Right?
Of course.
So, okay, so let's wrap it up. I'm surprised, and hopefully this recorded up here on the top of the mountain. I'm surprised I got it this far. So thanks for joining me, Soph. I guess it's not so late there. It's a little bit closer to...
it's like 9:30. Yeah, it's not that bad.
Awesome. Well, it's not 1 a.m, so thanks for doing this with me. And I will...
show me Mount Fiji and stuff. Or Fuji, sorry.
Mount Fuji.
Sorry.
Yes. And I, as a gaijin in Japan, which means foreigner,
big time foreigner.
Yeah. A big time foreigner. I found a bit of enlightenment, at least. It's about what created humanity's created, right?
Yeah.
And right now we're creating the internet, we're creating technology, and we're creating a different way to look at what we do in this world to build our 287 stairs to enlightenment. I think that's really the steps. You got to take those steps to become enlightened. So take those steps. And,
what a motivational way to end the podcast.
Well, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing at BlockCerts, right? And if I wasn't motivated, I wouldn't have done it.
Exactly. Okay. Well, it's great talking to you. So thank you for sharing all of your wisdom.
Thanks, Soph. I'll see you when I get back on the other side of the pond.
Yeah, I'll see you then too.
Bye, everybody.
I'll see you next week.